Hello, everyone, and welcome to Populate Social's International Women's Day session. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching this. I'm Yoko, and I work for Populate as their marketing executive. This is kind of the first time we're doing a live recorded session, so please do bear with us. It's a concept that fills me with a bit of anticipation, but also a lot of excitement. But fingers crossed, all runs smoothly. Obviously, I'm really excited today because, and that's not just because it's International Women's Day, but because I'm going to be speaking and interviewing a bunch of the UK's most strong, creative and inspirational females, one of whom I'll be introducing to you in just a sec. But in general, we're going to be covering a load of really interesting topics, mainly looking at the paths that these women have taken to becoming successful in their areas, and also looking at how social media has played a part in the way that business women can succeed, and also kind of exploring how do we inspire that next generation of hashtag girl bosses, and also looking at the kind of wider sector and that gender gap in a bit more detail. So let's get straight into it. I'm joined today by Laura Mallows, who is founder of Mallows Beauty, a UK-based self-care brand. Originally from Cardiff, Laura started her journey as an 18-year-old with big dreams of becoming a fashion designer, something that's very close to home for me. After moving to London, Laura kind of pursued a career in buying, and this is when the Mallows brand really kind of started coming to life. It was Laura's own personal journey with self-care and anxiety and mental health, and that kind of set her sights on creating this brutally honest, no filter beauty brand. Since, her company has gone on to develop a strong army of 20.5, nearly 20.5k followers on Instagram alone. They're verified on TikTok and stocked across some of the biggest UK retailers out there, including Missguided, Superdrug and Nasty Girl. This isn't your kind of usual skincare brand. It's all about self-love, self-acceptance, and just being open about anxiety and mental health. Make sure to kind of follow them on their website, keep up with them on their socials at Mallows Beauty, and follow their amazing journey and see how this brand truly got off the ground. Welcome, Laura. We're so glad to have you here, obviously. So thank you for coming on.
I've got goosebumps. Like, that was like the best intro ever.
Oh, thank you.
Oh. Mallows Beauty better than I
can. Obviously, we kind of wanted to kick things off and celebrate International Women's Day with looking at the paths that women like yourself have taken to where you are today. So although I did do what you describe as one of the best introductions, I'm sure you could do a better job than me at telling the story of kind of how the Mallows brand came to be and, yeah, the journey that you've been on.
Yeah, so I think, like you said, I kind of did a fashion design degree. I moved to London. I worked in buying for June. I bought handbags for them. Absolutely loved it, and decided to move home. And I've always wanted to set up my own company, and I wanted it to be something that was really close to my heart and actually like give back, not just create and sell products, but have a brand that had a purpose, that gave back to its customers. And I kind of dug deep, like you said, I suffer with anxiety, I suffer with depression, anorexia, and I felt like there was so much pressure on young girls today with filters and fillers and Botox and this whole idea that was perfect and having to keep up with it. And I felt like I had a responsibility to try and show people that you didn't have to, perfect's not real, you don't have to be perfect, that there's more out there to life. I constantly tried to find like the perfect throughout my whole entire life. When I moved to London, I was covered in acne and I was buying so many products. I spent so much money on them and nothing ever worked. And it wasn't until I was speaking to a dermatologist and she told me that she suffered with acne all of her life. Acne was normal. You have it when, you're stressed, when you're coming on your period. And there we are, so obsessed with making our skin flawless when actually it's a normal part of your cycle. And it kind of like clicked, like, why are we all so obsessed with like trying to be perfect? Why can't we just accept ourselves for who we are? And then I started doing more research and found out a major magazine, I won't say who, invented cellulite as an issue in like the 1980s. So before then, people had just embraced cellulite and didn't really think about it. And then all of a sudden it was this horrible thing that we needed to buy creams and treatments to get rid of. And that kind of really upset me. You know, boobs are inherently female and we all love them, men love them, you know. I know, we're all proud and think they're sexy, like when we've got a top on, we show our bum, you know, all those things that we think are like inherently female. Yeah, cellulite is something that only women can have. That's our fats, our cell structure. So why don't we think that's sexy too? And that kind of spoke to me. And I thought, right, let's turn this on its head. Let's create a beauty brand that instead of, you know, creating and marketing flaws and saying, you know, you should shrink your pores, you should get rid of all your spots, you know, your lines are awful. Let's embrace ourselves and who we are and just like, you know, love ourselves. And that's kind of how Mallows Beauty was born. Yeah.
Amazing. No, it's such a important topic, and it's a perspective that you're taking it, like you're saying, it's kind of looking at that and having that gap in the market, honestly, because so many brands are out there. It's not, you're not, you know, positivity and stuff is something that is relevant and current, and brands do adopt it, but kind of almost plugging treatments down you rather than actually just being like, that's fine, you're going to have skin like that sometimes, you know. Be positive about it and see a better light through it. So obviously it's a competitive sector, the makeup industry. How do you think that Mallows managed to cut through and be successful?
Yeah, I mean, I think because we had like a purpose, I think I get a lot of messages of girls who discover us for the first time and, you know, they say, oh my God, I've been struggling with my skin and I've seen that you've posted spots or about cellulite and you've made me feel better about myself. You know, you're encouraging me to take time for me, which has really helped my mental health, and you know, your products actually do what they say they will. I think that really resonates with people, that I'm not just trying to sell products to make money. You know, there's a whole bigger thing that I want to do, you know. I want to help people's mental health. You know, we donate 5% profits to mental health charities. By the end of the year, I want to be donating 10 grand to mental health charities. I think people really love the story behind us and believe in us and want us to be successful and trust us. So I think that's why we've kind of broken through. But obviously, I mean, like Dan, obviously founder of Populate Social, who I absolutely adore. Dan's amazing. Who I feel like I always say that he's like Daddy Dan has held my hand through the whole process and was like, you know, Mallows is all about you, Laura. You need to be the face of the brand. And I was like, no way, I can't be the face of a brand. And he gave me the confidence to do that. So I think Populate have been a massive help in helping us break through as well and making us different. And I think some of the advice that he's given us has made Mallows really successful, like me being the face of it. You know, we're not just a corporate brand that you don't know who's behind it and what they're doing every day. Everyone knows exactly what we're doing every day and who we are and what our roles are. And I think that's nice and that's relatable.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree. I think you almost, like you're saying, have become the kind of figure for Mallows and the kind of face of Mallows. Do you think that your experiences with kind of this whole industry, obviously it's, your gender is out there, it's kind of open to the world, people know you're a female in the industry. Do you think that that's a positive thing that is out there, or do you think that it's impacted you negatively?
No way. I think it's totally a positive thing. I think every girl who comes across Mallows Beauty and sees that, you know, I started and found this brand, they love it and they support, you know, and it's so empowering. I think the days of the girls being competitive and trying to beat each other down or whatever isn't a thing of the and because I'm a woman founder, a female founder, that it's other women have raised me up. You know, we've done loads of collaboration with other female brands. Big businesses love that as well. You know, so I think it's actually massively helped me. So yeah, I think it's been a positive thing.
Okay, describe a typical day in the life of Laura Mallows then.
A typical day. So I love to create content. I love to create content for TikTok, Instagram. I mean, no 2 days are the same. I'm one of those people that gets really distracted. Like I'll be doing something and then it'll be 3 o'clock and I'll be like, oh my God, I didn't finish what I was doing this morning. But yeah, it can range between doing artwork, creating content, telling Ronnie off for something that he's done wrong, because now I work with my fiance, packing orders, making bath dust, sending emails, reaching out to new brands. I love reaching out to new brands, and then DMing people. I spend an arm and a leg of my time messaging my girls on Instagram. So I think that's like a typical day. But at the moment, I haven't had any typical days because we've moved warehouse last week. So all I've been doing for the last 2 weeks is painting stuff pink.
It's exciting. It's interesting to know it. I don't know, just like the clogs behind these companies. It is kind of people like you just doing all the things behind it, and you're involved in, you know, when people like me see you, it's kind of like, oh wow, see, but you are stocking the things and filling the stuff. It's very hands-on.
Yeah, and you have to, like, 1 minute you're on a phone to the accountant trying to keep yourself like entertained, like, oh God, I'm a business owner, I must listen to this cash flow thing. But then the next, you're like, you know, singing songs and packing in the warehouse, and then creating content, but then also driving. It's having a meeting and doing sales pitches. So yeah, that's I suppose one of the toughest things as a small business owner is having so many hats. But it's really exciting as well, because you never do, you know, bored ever.
No. What would you say is your one piece of advice you'd give to someone who's kind of setting out on their journey to starting a business?
I'd always say believe in yourself, because I had a few people at the start of Mallows Beauty who were unsure on my branding, who didn't understand the concept, who thought that the only reason I would sell products is if I was marketing insecurities. They thought it was absolutely berserk that I was going to make people feel amazing about themselves and sell stuff, you know. So, but I believed in myself. Eventually, I did have a little bit of a wobble. I think if you really believe in something and you've done your research, like, go for it. But I also think get some people, experts around you who are really good at their job. Like obviously we use Populate for all of our ads. You know, we've got a PR company, we've got different companies that people we rely on for their strengths. And I think sometimes you can spread yourself too thin and try and put too many hats on. But if you know you're not good at something, find an expert you trust to help you with it.
100%. You said that you kind of mentioned briefly that you got Ronnie, your partner, to be involved in Mallows. How did that kind of come about? Obviously, we want to support men and big up men as well. And how have you found that dynamic since he's come on board?
So if I think back to the start of Mallows, I think that it was just me, but I'm actually thinking back. I think it was me for like 3 months, and then Ronnie went on furlough, so he should have been doing nothing. But I was like, there's no way that you're sitting in the garden sunbathing and I'm working my ass off. Like, you're going to be helping me. So yeah, I put him to work and he kind of loved it, and we loved working together. As a startup, you tend to work, you know, like 8 till 11 at night. And if I wasn't doing that with my fiance and doing it with other people, I think it'd put a massive wedge between us. But we were doing it together and it was so amazing. And we were building this company together. And, you know, we're both obsessed with Mallows Beauty. We talk about it all the time. And it's not like one of us is like, put your phone down, you're doing work too much. You know, the other one's like, you're doing work at 12 o'clock at night. Great, I'm going to go to sleep. You carry on doing work, you know? So it's really good that we've kind of got each other and we trust each other. And yeah, I love working with him. I mean, definitely was some teeth and problems when I was like living and working with him, and I wanted to kill him. But you know, who wouldn't want to kill him? Say time for the month, like, you know, it's totally normal. But yeah, I love working with him. He's the hardest working person I know,
Oh,
and
amazing.
a massive asset to Mallows Beauty. We wouldn't be where we were today without him.
No, where do you yourself or both see the company in kind of 5 years' time? Where would your sights be?
I want to go worldwide. I want to be like, I don't know, like the Frank Body or something, but go to Australia and be in Australia or in America and Europe and kind of be, you know, a really well-known brand, but worldwide. I kind of want to take over the world. And I think as many retailers as possible. So that's kind of my vision. I think Ronnie wants to, I don't know what he wants to get into, I don't know. He has different views. I think he wants to sell the company eventually, but yeah, she's my baby, so I want to keep her.
Nice.
We're kind of like undecided on that at the moment, but
An ongoing decision process, but
yeah.
exciting things to come, I'm sure. There's kind of been a discussion, particularly like recently, around females kind of in these top positions. A statistic that came out recently was that only 8 female bosses were appointed last year through major retailers. So I know, shocking really. And I think it kind of makes you take a step back and be like, I think we all think a lot of progress has been made for us women and stuff, but there also is kind of, I feel like the world is kind of waiting and kind of stands to benefit from us taking these senior roles. How would you say that you reached your level of success given this kind of gender gap, especially among kind of high positions?
I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because obviously in June and in fashion, all the roles they're very female-run company. Obviously, the owner of the company, the CEO, was a male. Actually, the CEO now is a female, which is interesting. So I've come from a very female-dominated industry, but I think if you're not getting the job you want, make the job. Like, I wasn't happy in the role that I was in, so I made a company where I loved everything. I you know, like I was working. I was buying brown bags all the time. That was my job at June, is to create stuff to sell money, so to create bags to make money, and they were all brown bags. Like, oh, dream of the day I could buy something pink rather than something brown. And now I've created a business that's completely pink. So I think gone were the days that we could, you know, even if you're not getting that job, and let's create them. No, an okay answer. I don't know.
Nice. No, that's really good. I think definitely some good advice out there. 100%. Obviously social media we've kind of touched upon a little bit in terms of TikTok and stuff, but I think socials played probably like one of the biggest impacts for Mallows and reaching those audiences and speaking to girls out there, and for you particularly kind of demonstrating that story and telling that story. But kind of in your own words, how would you say that social has made an impact? And yeah,
I mean, especially because I started obviously Feb last year, so just before COVID. If it wasn't for social media, I don't think I'd have a business because I wouldn't have been able to sell anything. And every kind of wholesale listing, you know, I went to launch Topshop concessions. Obviously, that kind of went out the window when they went into administration. So what we've relied on is social for sales. Like we just wouldn't be where we were if it wasn't for that to fall back on. But also, like you said, to build a brand, people can click on my Instagram and they very instantly understand everything about the brand. You know, it tells a story of from when I was on my kitchen table to now, and yeah, we just wouldn't be where we were if it wasn't for Instagram and TikTok and social media. And it's amazing. I think people give it a lot of stick, but it's incredible. People from all over can tap in, speak directly to me, talk to me about different products. I can talk about mental health. I can talk about so many things that mean stuff to me. you know, on my Instagram, I try and not just push products all the time. I want to, you know, help people with their mental health, and they can think about things they haven't thought about before. So yeah, it's vital.
Mm.
Vital. It scares me the day. If anything happened to my Instagram, I think I'd be soul destroyed.
Have you got any kind of advice or tips for running socials? And like you mentioned, kind of that honest, true content seems to deliver quite well, but anything else that you'd kind of advise someone?
I mean, I hadn't done any. I mean, like this year has been a massive learning curve for me. I was not a social media marketing person. I learned a lot from Dan, and luckily, obviously, the brand image and everything about us has been very real and honest and no filter. And I think people have received that really well. They love that they can see behind the scenes. They love that I'm really brutally honest. But I think what people are crying out for is to see the real. People are so sick of seeing those like perfect like photoshopped photos, or those model shoots. I mean, like, it's so easy for brands to create them, and so many do just pop them out on social media and expect likes, but they're not giving anything witty, you know, like who is behind the brand, who's running it, what you're doing every day, how you've built, how you've created, how you're creating those products, why. And I think giving that story and a bit more in depth, I think that's how you will be successful on Instagram.
Yeah. I think the e-commerce kind of industry in general, so selling online, I think has almost opened doors for a lot of women CEOs, bosses, designers, creators, because, you know, we are getting that kind of the ability to balance our work lives, and, you know, people can have children and still be setting up these companies, which is a really amazing thing. The only kind of double-edged sword with that is that we're still seeing that only 8% of e-commerce companies are run by women. So there's still a kind of gap in that belief, maybe. Or what would you say that like someone like you, our successes are kind of, this is the pathway that we're taking now, or do you think we're still anomalies to the rule?
I don't know. I think on my Instagram, I speak to so many female-run businesses every day. You say 8%, that baffles me. So many, like, I work with so many independent, amazing brands that are all female-run businesses. None of them are male-run. So I think that statistic is baffling. I must just be speaking to one little set. I must just be speaking to the whole 8%. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's the confidence. I don't know what it is. But I think if anyone's watching this and you are a female, go and start your own business, because it's the most rewarding thing in the world you can ever do.
100%. In terms of what is needing to be done and that kind of area, what do you think is the hardest thing that women face today? That can be personally, in the workplace.
I mean, it's very difficult for me because I came from a very female dominated industry anyway. I worked in fashion and across a lot of very headstrong women. So I think the only thing that I do think is really tough is, like you said, about, you know, maternity leave and that kind of equality. You know, having to take a year out and someone replacing you, and then maybe not going back into the same team, or kind of feeling like you don't fit in. And then having to juggle kids and business, or running your own business, it's just mental. I can't imagine how tough that is for people. I suppose it's mad to think that is still female inequality, because I've literally come from a background where literally women rule everything, and that's how I want to see the world, and I hope that the whole world is. When people say that they work with men, I'm like, oh yeah,
they exist.
So yeah, I mean, probably not the right person to ask that question to.
Yeah. But I mean, it's great that you're kind of centered in that there are industries out there where, you know, for you know, there's girls who work in law firms where it's all men, or, you know, things like that, or, you know, not to stereotype specific roles, but I think it's kind of refreshing to hear you say that, that there are still industries out there that
I can imagine. Yeah, like my friend does work for a law firm, and and my other friend's an accountant. It is like, very male dominated. I think the only issue that when you have a female dominated office, especially in fashion, is that it is kind of that, to contradict what I said earlier, you are kind of, it's kind of bitchy and you're fighting against each other, and
yeah.
and things. But yeah, I'm lucky that I came from June, and June was a women completely dominated, and now there's a female CEO. So I think that's a positive kind of example that.
No, it's great. Obviously, like International Women's Day is kind of all about raising this awareness and kind of talking about these challenges that women still face today. And how would you say that we should be actively encouraging our next future generations to become girl bosses?
I think, for me as well, don't let your gender, like, don't let anything hold you back. Definitely let you think you're going to the interview thinking, oh my god, there's men in the interview room, or there's people aren't going to pick me because I'm a woman. For starters, don't ever let those thoughts come into your mind. We are fucking strong. Like, women are fucking strong. Like, we are bosses, and every woman I know is a bloody rock star. And I think that the stereotype that we have to stay at home is long gone. We are taking over the world. And yeah, I think for the next generation, I'm seeing more and more of the Gen Z girls, asking me for advice to set up their own business. So I think the younger generation are going to take over the world. There's going to be loads of female-owned businesses, loads of independent women running businesses. I think the world is moving in the right way, and the younger generation are gonna show us that statistic wise. I bloody hope so.
You'll probably almost become a bit of a role model to like Gen Z kind of bracket of people, particularly someone like me. It kind of gives me hope and optimism that I could do stuff like that. But which woman would you say has influenced you the most in your life?
It's got to be my mum. My mum is like the strongest person I know. Like, she is such a fighter. She's just always been my role model. Like, she's got through so many tough times. She's got to the highest she possibly can in her career, and everyone literally looks up to her, respects her. They, it's a different respect. I think she has such a good way of delivering things, but you listen to her, but you're not offended by her. Everyone loves her. Whenever I speak to anyone she works with, they're always like, "Mum's amazing. She's got all these amazing ideas." And she's 56. She's been head of design technology for like 35 years, so longer than I've been alive. And she's still absolutely rocking it, and everyone loves her, and she's smashing it. So she's definitely my role model. Yeah.
And then a kind of final question that we are asking everyone today is, what does being a woman, whether that's in business or not, mean to you?
Oh God. Like, obviously there's people that don't feel right in their skin, but I absolutely love being a woman. I'm like the girliest person in the world, but I feel confident. I know who I am. I love running my business. Being a woman to me means, like, it means power. I feel powerful. I feel like a girl boss.
100%. Very good.
Johnny walked in, he put me off. I'm like,
Well, thank you so much anyway for coming on today, Laura. It's been amazing to hear your story, and obviously we're super delighted to be supporting and celebrating International Women's Day today, and it's been just amazing to hear kind of everything about you and Mallows.
Oh, thank you so much. I hope our answers have been okay.
Yeah, it's been perfect. Thank you.